So we were studying the fourth state of matter by Joe and so what we saw was that the narrator Joanne, she is somebody who has a very old dog called, and this dog is not feeling well. It is a very old dog that needs to be taken care of. And our narrator works really hard to take care of it. She is in sort of like a routine in which the dog would wake her up because it would need help with something, and the narrator would help her dog, and she would go back to sleep. She would be waken up again, like that. So, uh, and then we can see that she was working as part of a journal, a scientific journal, and we were introduced to the character of Chris. Chris is the editor of the space physics journal that she was working with, and she and Chris share a very close relationship. Uh, that is, she and Chris uh, was they could relate with each other. They would share each other's problems and all. And other than this, we can see that the other than this, we can see that she was also, please excuse me, sorry about that. So other than that, we can see that she was also a divorcee. No, not divorcee, she was separated from her husband. So her husband and she was not living together, and they were separated for some time. And what we can see is that she is somebody who had a lot of squirrels in her spare room, and this room was infested by these squirrels. And the squirrels were a really big nuisance because they scatter and they make a lot of noise. So that would wake up both the collie, and that would in turn wake up the narrator, because the narrator would have to take care of the dog which has just woken up. So she had called her friend Carolyn. Carolyn was a professional in dealing with all these squirrels. And what we can see is that she worked with Joanne for an entire day at her house, and she helped Joanne get rid of all the squirrels. They had removed all the squirrels, and they had shut up the entire room. They had sealed the entire room, so that it would not be infested by squirrels any longer. So, and what we can see is that uh, both Joanne and Caroline, they both share a, how do I say, a warm moment together. That is, they are both friends. They both talk about each other's problems, and what we can see is that she shares her problems about her estranged husband, and Caroline is somebody who does not like this, and she warns Joanne against engaging with him. That is, this must be all uh, something like, how do I say, emotional manipulation. And in the end, we can see that Caroline leaves and her house is free of squirrels. So Caroline is brought to get rid of the squirrels. Then what we can see is that uh, they engage in a discussion. That is, we are taken to a moment in time when Joanne is working with her colleagues, and her colleagues are very professional physics intellectuals. So most of the time, they don't understand what she doesn't understand what these people are discussing about. That is, they talk about very complicated physics related things, but she is not somebody who has any experience in physics. She is there to help with the uh, publication side of things. She's not a physics major, so even when her colleagues are engaging in physics discussions, she cannot uh, how do I say, relate with any of them, and she just doodles on the blackboard because she is bored by these discussions. And then we are introduced to two characters, that is Gang Lu and uh, Lin Hua Shan. Both of these are Chinese students, Chinese doctoral students. And Gang Lu is somebody who is, how do I say, somebody who is disillusioned with the whole establishment. So she is annoyed with Chris. He is annoyed with Chris and to Bob Smith. Bob Smith is also another physicist who works with Joanne and Chris and the whole journal team. So Gang Lu is a Chinese student who is a doctoral student, and he is somebody who hates this these people because he feels disillusioned by the whole thing. That is, Chris is a authoritative German professor who he feels disrespected by, and with Bob Smith he sees a condescending fool. With Lin Ho Shan, uh, who is considered sort of like the favorite of Chris, he feels like Shan gets a lot of praise while he is ignored. And by Joanne, who's this, like casual, dismissive posture irks him. That is, Joanne is somebody who's not part of the physics team. So, uh, just her whole dismissive attitude, in Malayalam we call it pucham, right? ആൾക്ക് ഈ ഫിസിക്സും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പുച്ഛമാണ് ജോവാന്. ആൻഡ് അത് ഗാംഗുലുവിന് ഇഷ്ടമല്ല because Ganglu is a doctoral student in physics. And he no longer spends time in computer labs but at the firing range. So he bought a gun and he just spends the whole day shooting it at a firing range. Practice ചെയ്യുവാണ്. He's perfecting his aim. And well, then we can see another moment. So it's a memoir. It's an unorganized sort of like a diary entry. It's sort of like a journal entry. It's just really unorganized. So in one moment they're talking about the office meetings and whatnot, and in the other moment we can see that our narrator talks about her colleague. So it's intermixing both the personal aspects of it and the work life aspects of what she is trying of her life. So then we can see that uh, then she comes home and sees that her dog has fallen down the basement stairs, and she wonders like whether it fell down because it was searching for Joanne. And she goes down the stairs, sits next to the dog, and comforts it. And she plays a uh, game with the elder collie dog. That is, they call it Maserati. So Maserati is a brand of Italian sports cars. So what she would do is that she would hold the long nose of the collie and pretend that it's a gear shift, and she would just pretend that she's driving a car and shifting gears using the collie's long nose. So we can see that there it is intermixed with personal as well as how do I say, work relations. Then we come back to work, in which the Joanne is drawing a picture of the collie on the blackboard with brown chalk, and where the eyes are, she is marking a X. So what does that mean? If you watch cartoons, if you watch TV shows, all these things, you can see that when a person has an X on their eyes, it demarcates that they are dead. So she was just doodling on the blackboard and she was drawing this collie, and that is when she sees that Chris has entered. And Chris asked like why she was there when there is no work. Like, why are you at the office of the journal when there is no work to do? And she replies that I am hiding from my life. What else? I believe that is a relatable thing to all of us, right? We have our own problems at home, and often when we come to work or when you guys come to college, it often functions as a momentary escape from all the attention and trouble that are at home. At the same time, going to home means that you're temporarily taking a break from all the trouble that is in your work or college. So similarly, our narrator, that is Joanne, she is also hiding from her life. She wants to hide from her life. And Chris is also doing the same thing because his mother is visiting. And he is also hiding from his life. So both Joanne and Chris, they both sit, drink coffee, read, share experiences, all these things together. So we can see that they're very close friends. And we can see that before she leaves, she just looks at the blackboard and erases the X. That is, it looks like the dog has died. So instead of the X, she draws a eye, almond shaped eyes. And Chris replies that that is better. So we can say that see that the this journal entry, this story sets up our our narrator and our other characters such as Chris, Ganglu, Bob Smith. All these characters are set up by this particular story. Then we come to the dramatic climax of the experiences that we have. So Ganglu is a very disillusioned person. He is not happy with what he's studying. He's not happy with the system of academia. What is academia? Academia is the whole environment around colleges, universities, all these things. And he hates the whole environment. He hates the system, and he wants to just get rid of the system. And he writes a letter to his sister in China, a final letter, in which he replies that he is going to kill himself. And this is why I didn't want to take this particular topic, because I felt like the theme and the ending of this story was a bit too dark during that time. So, anyway, so he said that he was going to kill himself in this final letter to his sister, and that she should not be too sad because she's also going to, he's also going to take revenge, kill a few of the other people who has annoyed him, like Chris, Bob Smith, all these people. So he took two handguns. That is, one is a 32 caliber pistol and the other is a 22 caliber revolver. And he took these two guns and he was going to the office to shoot up the whole place. So basically a mass shooting. And it was during that moment when he was going to the office to kill these people that our narrator, Joanne, was leaving the building. So when she casually greets him while he was passing by her, he did not beat her back. But she did not expect him to. She was just doing that out of habit and out of politeness. So what he would do is that Gang Lu would go to the office, the seminar room, and check if there are people there. After confirming that, he went back downstairs and he checked if whether the department chairman, Dwight Nicholson, was in his office. So after confirming that there are the people who he intended to kill in this particular office, he decided to go back upstairs and shoot up the whole place. So he went to the seminar room and shot Chris, Lin Ho Shan, Bob Smith, and all these people. So he shoots uh, Chris in the back of his head, and Lin Hua Shan is shot in the forehead, and Bob Smith, who was trying to get away from him, was shot 3 times, 4 times, sorry, 4 times, and he was finally killed. Then he went back downstairs to Dwight Nicholson's office and fires a fifth bullet into his head. And the seventh bullet, 6 bullets trace, but the seventh also finds its mark. So Nicholson is dead, who is the department chairman. Bob Smith is dead, Chris is dead, Lin Hua Shan is dead. Everybody who Gang Le hated was dead. And he then thought that Bob Smith might be still alive. So he returns to finish his job. And he saw that there were 2 young physicists who were crouched over Bob Smith. And we can see that the other 2 young physicists were forced out of the room, and Gang Lao fired a bullet into Bob's head. And then he continued firing it into the other dead bodies, that is of Chris and Lin Hua Shan. And he goes to the second building. And what we can see is that he killed the Anne Clary, who was an administrator of this particular institution. And he killed Anne Clary as well as the receptionist in front of Anne Clary's office. So by that time, he finds an empty conference room and realizes that everybody that he wanted to kill was almost dead. That is, he did not completely kill everybody, but he was like, okay, there is no more time. Uh, so he finds an empty conference room. So he removes his coat, neatly folds it, and he kills himself. So that is what happens. So that is what happens.